Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Hope all is well. Wow, it's been so long. Let me wait a few moments for people to come on in. Hope all is well with each and every one of you guys. Okay, make sure my phones are on silent. So, wow, what have you guys been up to? It's been so long since I've done a live, and I'm so very, very, very excited about today's live. Go ahead and tell me where you guys are from. Who's here? Fatima, assalamu alaikum. Black seed oil gummies, assalamu alaikum. How are you guys doing? How are you guys doing? So we're gonna start momentarily, inshallah. What have you guys been up to? I have been away from giving these lives for so long, but I'm excited about today. What have you guys been up to? Right, so you're good, Fatima? Alhamdulillah. New York? Alhamdulillah. Okay, all right. Dallas, Ibrahim is from Dallas. Welcome. Come on in, guys. All right, so today we're going to be talking to our brother Aqil Ingram. He is actually an investor, and he is going to be talking to us about the different ways to invest in real estate, but more importantly, how to target neighborhoods that are up and coming, that offer opportunities so that we can get in at the right time and hopefully benefit, inshallah. Okay, so I'm just waiting for him to come in. Let me see if I can invite him in. Give me 1 second. Get it there. Guess let's see. All right, so we're just waiting for our brother to come on in here. It's a little bit warm in this room. I had the AC going. Walaikum salam, Nura. I had the AC going, but it's so loud, so I don't want to disturb the quality of the sound. But it's getting hot, so I may have to turn that on anyway. All right, tell me where you guys are from. Let me know where you guys are from. Abdul Sabir, okay. Where are you guys from? All right, so here is our brother here, okay. All right, let me go ahead and add you in, brother. Okay. All right. So he's going to be coming in just a moment. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
How are you today?
Phenomenal. How are you?
Good, alhamdulillah. Thank you so much for taking out your time to do this live with us. I'm so very excited to have you on.
It's an honor to be here. I appreciate it.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. So, you are an investor, and, we hear a lot of times about people encouraging for us to invest, in opportunity areas, particularly areas across America, inner city areas, because in those areas there are a lot of opportunities for investors. However, sometimes we invest, too late, and then the opportunity has, passed us by, for example, Los Angeles and New York, like now, because of gentrification, it's very difficult to, purchase in those areas because it's very pricey. So, I wanted to talk to you about, areas that, where there are still opportunity. What are the steps that we can take to tap into those areas, or even find those areas so that we can invest in real estate there?
Okay. Well, there are general principles that can be utilized across the nation, really, and maybe there are some other avenues that are particular to an individual area, right? So I suppose I'll hit the ball back over the court to you and ask, are we asking about generally across the US of A, or are we looking to particular areas of the US of A?
Just particular areas across, the U.S. Like, so for example, I may be a person that I'm from Los Angeles, right? So there aren't a whole lot of opportunities to buy low in Los Angeles. So, if I wanted to, find out which other states where there are like opportunities, like how do I go about doing that? Just in general,
Okay. All right. So there are a couple of things there. The first thing is that the real estate market has cycles that it goes through. So when you say, for example, it may be more difficult to get into the Los Angeles market right now, that's because it's just at a certain point in its cycle. And regardless at where the real estate market is in a given cycle, there are always ways to enter and profit with or without having a lot of money. It's just a matter of having the knowledge set and then being comfortable with that particular avenue you would have to use to benefit from the market in that particular phase. But since you mentioned picking up properties a little bit cheaper, then we would look to those areas in the country where properties are cheaper. And a good marker for people would be to look at the job markets in different areas of the country and where the job markets are or are not. Typically, when the job market is raising, you're going to find the prices of real estate raising also. And when you find the job market dropping, you're going to find the real estate market dropping also. As investors, one of our jobs, if we're looking for lower cost properties, is to identify where the job market may be a little bit lower, and because of that, housing is lower. But also, when it's at this downturn, we want it to be close to an upturn or not too far away from an upturn. Maybe we may be positing a year out or 3 to 5 years out, and you begin positioning yourself because once the market comes up, then your properties will come up with that, right? So there are numerous areas throughout the country. Of course, where I'm at in the Baltimore area, there's Detroit, of course. There are different areas around Cleveland. A person can identify numerous areas like that throughout the country. A bit of a brief pointer is that a person can, I don't know how much time that we have, so I'll just say it briefly without going into too much detail. If you know what you're doing, you can go onto the internet and you can actually look at where house sales are taking place, and you can see where investors currently are investing and what zip codes they're investing in if you're unfamiliar with an area. What a person can also do is a person can join or visit what is called a REIA, a real estate investor association. Every major city has one. Wherever you're at in the U.S., there should be in a REIA, a real estate investor association, not too far from you, within an hour or less from wherever you are in this country. And this is where many of the investors network with one another, and real estate professionals, accountants, people that are in construction, and this is how you learn what's going on with other investors, and you get information and you get mentors as well. Also, in whatever city you're considering or whatever city you are, you can also look to the city planning and look for what is called opportunity zones. Most cities, or I should say all cities, have a plan for the city. Now it depends on where the city's at in their planning phases. But in any regard, depending on where they're in their planning phases, you can identify opportunity zones that the city has already decided that they're going to be investing in, and they're going to be looking for businesses to come into that area. You will also find spikes in real estate in those areas as well. And if you get in early enough, you can get it low and then ride the wave up.
Okay, all right. Wow, thank you for that. So you talked specifically about Baltimore. So if we wanted to invest in Baltimore, for example, you know, what would be the steps that we would need to take in order to do that?
From an information standpoint, and I'm speaking purely from the standpoint of looking for cheaper properties or buying them low.
Hmm.
Um, One is you're going to want to look at areas. So again, city planning, you can go to Baltimore Development on the internet and you can see what Baltimore City's plans are, and you can see exactly where the opportunity zones are. Baltimore currently has 42 opportunity zones in the city. There are also programs that are available in Baltimore City. One of the more pronounced programs is a program called Vacant to Value.
Okay.
You can look that up as well. Your viewers can look that up and see how that works. Um, um, there's talk, right? There's talk. The previous two are happening now, but there's talk right now about the city bringing back the dollar house program.
Hmm.
We'll see if that comes into effect or not. But it doesn't quite mean that you buy a house for $1. It does, but it doesn't. It means that you apply for city-owned houses,
Hmm.
and if you qualify, they'll give it to you for $1. But that also means that you have the team and the funding to rehabilitate the property up to the standards of the city, right?
Okay.
And then they'll give it to you for that particular cost. In this case, $1. The vacant to value program is similar, except that there's just a bidding on the cost of the property. Right, so it's not necessarily a dollar; it's what people bid on the property. That's what vacant to value is. There's also funding that the city has for Baltimore homeowners, first-time homeowners, or people that are living outside of Baltimore that will be moving into Baltimore. The city has funding in place for that. And if you go to the Vacant to Value site, you can find details about that there as well. Another way that a person can find out, more particularly in Baltimore, what's going on is you can, again, look into the real estate investment associations. There are two that are most prominent here in Baltimore City. One is called Baltimore RIA, and the other one is called Maria. So Baltimore RIA is Baltimore Real Estate Investment Association, and Maria is the Maryland Real Estate Investment Association. And this is where a lot of the players and the investors in the city, where they kind of congregate and exchange skill sets in order to sharpen and grow their skills, and also they share deals as well. All this being said, if we're looking for cheaper properties, one thing that I should add is that we are looking for properties that are off market more often than
Okay.
not. Meaning meaning we build a skill set where we learn how to identify properties that are in our niche. In this case, what you stated, cheaper properties. These properties will not have for sale signs. They won't be listed with any realtors or anything of that nature. And you identify avenues to get in contact directly with the owners of these properties and then work deals directly with them. That will be the route to go.
Okay, wow. All right, so you also you mentioned you know, for people that don't live in Baltimore, that there are still like opportunities like as from like the cities. A lot of times, like if you want to like join these programs, you have to be a resident, right? So are you saying that, you know, with vacant to value, for example, that you don't have to be, you know, a resident of Baltimore, you can just like go in and, you know, still like reap some of the benefits, like get grants, get funding, that kind of thing?
Excellent question. Yes, the vacant to value program is not limited to Baltimore residents. The idea is at present this number is decreasing, and I'll explain why. At present, there are approximately 17,000 vacant city-owned properties in Baltimore City, and the city is looking to tear these properties down and or save them. But a lot of it is tearing these properties down. So that 17,000 number is decreasing, right? But yes, so the city makes their money not from the property itself, right? Not from the house that's there, the building that's there, and not even necessarily from the land itself. They're making the money from the taxes. So insofar as these properties are vacant, the city's not making any money from them. So because of that, they're willing to offer some deals in order to increase their tax revenue.
Okay, all right. So that's why, like for them, it's a good move because if you have people buying up these, vacant places, they can like gain money through the taxes. That makes sense. That makes a whole lot of sense. All right. So
Absolutely.
so you said the website for vacant to value. Do you just Google it, like Baltimore vacant to value program, or is there a specific
Yes, you.
website? Okay, it will come up that.
No, you can Google. Yeah, you can Google it. Vacant to value.
Okay.
Yeah, I forget the exact URL, but I can say for the for city planning and for the opportunity zones, that one is BaltimoreDevelopment.com.
Okay. Okay.
The website for vacant to value is also vacant to value, but I just forget how they spell it, TO or the number two or however, but it is vacant to value,
Okay.
vacant TO value.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. All right. So let's get into your, like top three real estate strategies that you would, recommend for, say, the modest investor, the person like most Americans who, have modest incomes, but, would still like to invest in real estate. What are like the top three strategies that you would recommend?
Well, being honest and being serious, the first thing that I would recommend is investment in knowledge and investment in self. I would not advise anyone to simply jump into real estate without some tertiary knowledge of the industry and how it functions. A person that jumps in without this, and then without guidance or a mentor, if you have no knowledge and you have no mentor, that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
You're looking to lose your money. You're gambling. Maybe this happens to work out for you, but for most people, they lose their money. And there's a bit of a learning curve anyway. And, when you're first starting out, and sometimes the learning curve can cost you a little bit, but it doesn't have to necessarily, bankrupt you or anything like that. So after that, after actually learning about real estate to some extent from a person who has knowledge in the industry, and what I mean by this is an actual real estate investor, not a realtor, who is a sales agent that may work for the investor or work for a homeowner or an aspiring homeowner. Their industry is a little bit different from what we're talking about. So a person that actually has knowledge and experience in investing in real estate, receiving knowledge from that person, however that may be. Be it through books, be it through online, or be it through a person that you're in contact directly. So after that, one strategy could be wholesaling real estate, and in wholesaling real estate, a person identifies what's called distressed properties, and once the individual has identified distressed properties, you would then contact the seller, place that property under contract for purchase. Once you have that property under contract, you now have what is called equitable interest in the property. And if you've gotten that property at a discount, you would then sell the contract to an investor at a discount after you have raised the cost of it for your profit, and sell that way, right? And sell that way. And this typically is what is meant when we see people talking about entering into real estate with no cash and no credit, more about wholesaling. This can be a way to get in. You're not paying for the property, but you're paying for the marketing in order to attract the property to you, which can be a significantly lower cost than would be purchasing a property outright. That's an avenue. Another avenue would be, depending on the how much access to funding a person has, would again be to identify properties at a discounted rate, distressed properties, and then you take on a property yourself for purchase, and you fix the property up and hold it to rent out. or you fix a property up and then sell it at its new value because you've raised the value by rehabilitating the property. Right. There's also, you asked for three. Another avenue that a person could utilize is what is called tax deeds. And every township, every city in America has tax deeds or tax certificates. And it varies by state. Some states are tax deed states. Some states are tax certificate states. Where we're at, and where I'm at, I should say, in Maryland, Baltimore City, it is a tax certificate state. So this is how this works. Let's start with the tax deeds because I mentioned that first. So there are people who don't pay their taxes on properties, but they still own the property. They're still living inside of the property. Now, they default on their taxes long enough, then the city will make it, well, it's public record anyway, right? Tax information is public record. So you build a skill set where you're conscious of those numbers, and you can then take over the right to pay those taxes. So you do that. You pay those taxes. In a tax deed state, over a period of time, because you now own the tax certificate and the right to pay those taxes. That's yours. After a period of time has passed, one or two things can happen. The owner can purchase that tax certificate back from you at the cost that you've put into paying those taxes, and most states will mark that up to about 18% or something like that. Penalty fee that they would have to pay to get that certificate back. That 18% goes in your pocket, so you get your money back plus the 18% for that tax certificate, or you can close on the property and get that property free and clear of any other encumbrances on the property. And the tax lien takes precedence over all of the liens on the property, whether it's a mechanical lien or anything else. So, for example, let's say in New Jersey, it's 2 years, right, where you have to pay the taxes for 2 years. The owner doesn't purchase the tax certificate back from you, and then after 2 years, you can close on the property. You own it free and clear. So you've bought this property for pennies on the dollar. In a tax certificate state, they do not allow people, or let me say this, in other states, it may not be 2 years, it can be less. It can be 6 months, it can be 2 months before you can close on the property. Other states like
a quick question, sorry to cut you off. So when it comes to like the tax deeds, are the houses usually paid off, or is there still a mortgage on it, or what?
Good question. It can be any scenario. That just depends on how the owner has been taking care of the property. The property can be it can be free and clear of any mortgage, or they could be in the middle of the mortgage because you can stop paying your taxes at any time.
All right. So
right. So
where they still have a mortgage, would you have to take over the mortgage, or?
Good. So, okay, good. So this is what happens. So when you close on a property, and then just so I don't forget, I'm saying this for myself, I'll get back to explaining the tax certificate and tax certificate states and how they function. Well, what happens is when you close on a property, what you're saying is right. Everything that is owed on the property has to be cleared out. Right? Whether it's the mortgage, that's a lien on a property, right? The mortgage can be a lien against the property. A mechanic does some work and doesn't get paid, he can place a lien on the property. So at the time that the property is sold, then from the monies that the property is sold for, then all those people who are owed have to be paid out from whatever revenue comes from the house, right? The interesting thing with tax deeds is that the tax deed takes precedence over any other lien, so that when you receive the property, you will receive the property free and clear of any other liens or encumbrances, and it becomes a loss for those other peoples who are holding the lien. Okay? because the state wants their money. So, and the township wants their money. So that takes precedence over everything else. So you would not be, if there was a mortgage pending and you got to this point, you would not be responsible for paying off that mortgage balance. All right. And there are other ways for mortgage companies to recover the monies that they lost. They just wouldn't be receiving it from this house this way because your lien takes precedence over their lien. Now, what I was stating about tax certificate states like here where we're in Maryland, of course, Baltimore's inside of Maryland, it is structured where a person is behind on the taxes. You then have the right or you accrue the right to pay the taxes on that property. So now you're paying the taxes on the property, and you have the tax certificate because it's yours, and you're doing that. So then the owner has a right to purchase the tax certificate back from you, meaning that they're going to pay back whatever taxes you paid, and then the cost of that tax certificate is 18% above that for them to purchase the tax certificate back. So you get the money that you paid in plus 18%. Now, once a year, the city of Baltimore and in Maryland, but the city of Baltimore particularly, there are auctions where now all of these properties that are in tax default, the city auctions them off, and you bid on them. It's an auction. And once the person wins that bid, then now you're going to purchase the property for whatever cost that you bid the property on, right? And then that person has to also cover that individual who owns the tax certificate so that that person is not losing, but they also profit as well.
All right, the AC is a little bit loud, so I have to turn it off. Okay, all right.
No problem. I understand that. I had a few gentlemen in my background that were a little loud as well, so I apologize for that.
No,
Go ahead.
I can't
All
even
good.
hear it. I can't hear it. Okay. All right, good. So, so I want to ask you. So you said there's 17,000 vacant, places, properties in Baltimore, and that number is, lessening because, it's
Dwindling.
dwindling, right? Because the state has the option to just, demolish them, and then that's that. So, I want to ask you, like, how much time do you think that people have to actually start investing in Baltimore? Like a year, a couple of years? I mean, can you put like a time stamp on it?
Okay, well again, a person can, if a person knows what he or she is doing,
Mm-hmm.
a person can make money in real estate in any phase of the real estate cycle, right? Whether the market is up, down, or in between the two, going toward up or going toward down. But again, if we're looking specifically toward these cheaper properties, whether they're city owned or whether they're owned by individuals, the city right now is pushing forth a plan that it has. We don't know exactly how long it's going to take them to roll out this plan, but they're starting it now, and we see the signs around us. If they are successful in what they're doing, the next phase of their planning, we're going to begin seeing, and we are beginning to see it now, a significant push to clean up crime throughout the entire city.
Okay.
And for good, better, or worse, we're gonna see almost an exodus of blue collar criminal activity, I'll call it, being moved from the city into the jails and the prisons. And as that is cleared out, as a lot of this blue collar crime is cleared out, this will then signify an indicator for investors and business peoples and high level professionals, think doctors, lawyers, to begin coming into the city, right?
Okay.
So
Have they already begun doing?
now, that's happening. That's
Okay.
happening in areas of the city, Like, for example, right now, John Hopkins University and John Hopkins Hospital is a specific area where that's happening right now. John Hopkins University they've purchased a lot of land throughout their entire area,
Okay.
and and in their doing that, they're calling for a lot of investment and investors and business peoples into the area where they are, right? But and again, they're on the east side of the city, but in other sides of the city as well, with the cleanup of a lot of this blue collar crime that we're talking about, it's happening now. But when we begin to actually visibly see the impact of that, probably will be between 1 to 3 years from now.
Okay. Okay. So
If the city stays on its track and they're successful in what they're doing, between 1 to 3 years from now, we'll be able to visibly see the effects and the changes that have occurred because of that.
and at that point, do you feel that it'll be completely too late? As far as, well, I know that you said that
No.
it depends on your strategy, but just say for the example, the person that may have saved $20,000. They don't want to go the loan route. For that person, would once it be too late?
At that point, we're going to begin to see prices climb. Right, we're going to begin to see prices climb. Right now, where the market is broadly throughout the United States of America, because right now we're in the post-COVID bubble. Right, we're in the post-COVID bubble, real estate bubble right now. There was if you want to call it, a pseudo raising of the prices of real estate when everyone was rushing back into the market after the quarantine and after the anxiety and fear of what's going to happen. Right, everyone rushed into the market, and it really pumped up prices of properties. That's coming down now, right? We're at the beginning of it coming down. Combined with what we've seen happening with different countries overseas that may be at odds with one another, right? And what we've seen with gas prices and what we've seen with inflation and a lot of our printing of monies and things like that with stimulus and PPP loans and all of that. All of those things have impacted almost every single industry, every single market in the U.S. Real estate has been the last of the markets to be impacted by that, but we are beginning to see the impact of that now, and we're at the beginning of the real estate market beginning to correct itself down to more realistic prices, right? So we're going to see a correction. And that correction, it's gonna drop. The prices are gonna drop a little bit. People aren't gonna have these overinflated prices that they're getting for their homes, right?
Yeah.
So all that being said, as the saying goes, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is speculation. We don't know exactly what's going to happen tomorrow or next year. We just know what we see right now. Right. And we position ourselves for it the best we can. And we forecast the best we can, the best position to put ourselves into for later.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. You gave us some, really great information. So for those people who may have come in late, if you are interested in investing in Baltimore, you can just Google vacancy value in Baltimore for opportunities, as well as baltimoredevelopment.com and websites. Okay. Anything else you would like to add before we close?
It broke up a little bit. The last statement you said?
No, I was saying, is there anything else you would like to add before we close?
No, not much at all. I just would encourage everyone to invest in themselves first and to position themselves to pay themselves first.
Okay. All right. Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And if you guys
Allah
go
rewards
ahead
you,
and follow the brother, his details are here. Aqil Ingram. Go ahead and follow him on Instagram. All right, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
You take care. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.